just purely because I may put this one out on. It depends. Hey Jen. It depends like how. It depends how this one goes, because we don't have the beginning bit, which is like showing the solo scenes. We're recording those on Sunday, and then we have I don't know how many questions we're gonna get and how, you know, like how organized this is gonna be and everything. Like the main point of this episode, especially in this stream, is if anyone has questions about Sunkist, like they want to know details about characters that maybe they missed, or bits of story points, like clarifying things. Yeah. So, literally any questions you have. Yeah, literally any questions you have. Just you know, pop them in, and we'll get talking about the show. Which is I do want to say, like, hot damn, it's a really fun show to GM. I hope you guys really enjoy the show and the stories and the characters. It mildly annoys me that the coterie hasn't openly claimed the parts between the front and the old guard. They have. Okay, so that is actually a good one. That's a good one to start on. So I haven't updated the map yet. So all of that area in between the old guard and the front is officially claimed by the coterie. So that is, and on their map where they draw in the people they're not sure about and everything, because I haven't given them the updated map yet. Then yeah, they have drawn in where they are kind of controlling at the moment. Yeah, no, as you can see on the map, the little orange bits are the coterie, and then you've got Gimlet and Co down in the green, in the like light green bit. Yeah, like I just haven't updated the area for the coterie, like where they've claimed. How have none of the players tried to put the gravestone? Well, what do you mean by how have none of the players tried to put the gravestone? Like put that as their territory? Oh, pet the gravestone. Pet the gravestone. Well, last time gravestone came in the visage of Tess. And I think it would have been weird for Tess to pet herself, or for Cassius to pet the gravestone. So, is there a version of this for colorblind people? Unfortunately not, but Urkel, if you'd like to know, I can go through like a detail, semi-detail breakdown of who's where, if you're not sure where it is. I just love Mac. It's everything I want to say right now. I'll stay and listen. Fair enough, Cry. Fair enough. If you think of any questions, like, if you want to ask any questions about Mac, as long as it's not spoilery, I can, like, fill you guys in on little bits and bobs, probably. I think it would have been natural for Tess to pet herself. Maybe? That kind of gets into a weird area that I'm not comfortable with. So yeah, do we have any? Does Mac even understand Mac? Mac does understand Mac, but that's a very interesting question. So, like, it's interesting because when you find out more about Mac, you'll realize that Mac understands a lot about himself, but not everything that he needs to understand. Do any Malkavians understand themselves? The interesting thing about Malkavians, I think, is that they tend to make sense to themselves, and it's other people who aren't making sense a lot of the time. Or they're just not looking at the world right, or they don't see something that the Malkavians see. And, you know, like, it depends on the Malkavian, of course, but yeah, I think it's that's what makes Malkavians really interesting. Is that you always wonder, like, can they see extra, or can they see like something that's made up or weird, or like, are they actually seeing something? Is it really there, or are they just crazy and they just can't see? You know, it's just not there. So yeah, like, that's what I love about Malkavians, and I think that's my favorite part of playing a Malkavian. You may have noticed that in the last episode with Kale, like, that is how I tend to see and play Malkavians. Like, to a certain extent, like, I try to make all characters different, but Kale is a very classic Malkavian from my mind, where it's just like he says things and assumes that people understands what he's saying. And that means that, like, you know, the conversation can go in weird directions, especially if people just don't question him. If you don't go like, wait, Kale, what are you talking about? He'll just carry on and assume that everything has been sorted out. He's like, oh, well, that sorted that out then, yay. Is it possible to make 10 to 15 minute vids of funny moments for people that don't have a lot of time to see the stream, or for people with short attention span? For people who don't have time to see the stream, yes. For people with a short attention span, I'm not going to put in the effort for that. But for people who don't have time, I'll have a think and have a see. Honestly though, Jen, like, there are funny moments, but ultimately, like, the show is very RP heavy. And a lot of the funny moments you won't understand unless you've seen the whole thing. I honestly don't think it's worth cutting it down, because, you know, like, if I cut it down into, like, funny moments, it would be like, you know, Tess says something funny in character to someone else in character that's referencing something that happened a couple of episodes ago. And it's like, there's no point in making that shorter, in, like, just cutting that bit out, because it won't make sense to anyone who hasn't seen all of it. Which is why I'm doing these kind of things, where I'm just trying to answer your questions to help people who may not have seen it all. One of my favorite parts is the whole Cass forgetting, like people not knowing who he is. Yeah, that was something that I planned before the start of the show. In character creation, when we were making Cassius, and Josh was going through, like, some backstory stuff, and not everything's come out, so, you know, obviously I'm not going to go into all of it, but I basically, that was when I clocked in my head. I was like, okay, this is the thing that we're going to do. The most dangerous Malkavians are those that aren't Malkavian at first glance. Sometimes. Or like a Malkavian who's pretending to be a different clan. I think you know, that could be an interesting thing. Okay, agreed. This series has a lot of context. But yeah, there is a lot of context to it. There is a lot of, like, there's a lot of content to it as well. There's a lot of conversations, a lot of discussion, and things like that. I think Mac just does not acknowledge position he is now as a Malkavian. Hope talking to Kale will help Mac to understand Mac better. Yeah, I think Mac understands Mac. I don't think he understands what it means. He's very removed and isolated, and I don't think he's dealt with the fact that he's a kindred and the fact that he's a vampire the same way that some of the other characters has. So, like, having him meet some other Malkavians, and, you know, like, kind of people who can speak to him more on his wavelength, will help him figure out, like, his place. Oh, the Mac monologue in the hospital was awesome. That was episode 3, the lost episode 3. That was really good, and I'm very upset that people missed it, and I'm very upset that Vandy missed it and Tess missed it. You know, like, well, Tess wouldn't have seen it anyway. But we have Sick Hydra in here now. Who's Cassius? Right. Is this content on your YouTube? Yes, Sunkissed is on my YouTube. It is, all of the episodes are out, and I'm going to be trying to do videos that kind of go over what has come before. And I think that's what this will be partially, is talking about things that have come before and that type of thing. I'm mad, upset, even. Upsetty, yes. Poor Vandy missing out some character stuff. And also, Vandy didn't get to see Cassius going to visit her mum, which was that whole interaction where she was annoyed and wanting to talk to Cassius was great. In general, I love characters that seem to not belong in their clan at first, but it still shines through, like a Ventrue who everyone would just assume to be a Brujah, or Gangrel from his behavior. Yeah, and I think all of the characters display a certain amount of that. You know, like Tess, a lot of the time is like a true blue Toreador, but other times she displays, like, if you're like a very strict on the lore, I guess, of Vampire the Masquerade and World of Darkness, like, you know, having a Toreador who isn't always acting like a Toreador could seem like, oh, you should be a Toreador, you know, you should always like pretty things and always want pretty things, and, you know, and I always see the clan guidelines as like guidelines, not as like stated facts. So, you know, like you'd obviously have problems with a Toreador who dressed slovenly and had a really unpretty apartment and things like that. But I think it's also really interesting. So yeah, like I think all of the characters have aspects of them that is very atypical from their clan, and then aspects of them that are very typical for their clan, which I like. Do you have a way to stop Cass getting all the debt and having his debtors forget about it? Well, from what you have all seen, obviously I can't go into stuff that hasn't been revealed, but from what you've all seen, the only people properly forgetting him, like kind of like mystically at least maybe, is the Nosferatu. So technically he might be able to borrow money from the Nosferatu and then won't have to pay it back. But if you consider as well, you know, like, yeah, it really might depend. It'd be risky, because if they did remember, then it would be interesting. Okay. Playing Tess like a tired Toreador. Yeah, yeah. Well, maybe not tired. Maybe like a bit slovenly, in the sense of, like, you know, the lounging around and the eating fast food and all that type of thing, which is really great. And Tess is, yeah, very certainly a Toreador. Nothing else weird or strange happening there. Don't worry about it, guys. Is that really all the territory the coterie has claimed? So no. So I haven't updated the map yet to include the expanded territory, which basically the majority of land, the majority of buildings in between the front and the old guard, that is the coterie's area. I know a lot of people in real life who walk around looking like protection, but at home are utter slobs. It's a thing. It is a thing. So, so yeah, I guess the easiest way to do this is probably, like, I'll talk about some of the things that have gone before, in, like, the last few episodes, and you guys can, if you guys want to jump in with any questions or any things that you'd like to know, then we can, you know, I can address those too. So, okay, that's all good. Wonderful. So we have so the last, I still think Tess is Kuei Jin, and I have no idea what fucking clan Cass actually from. Totally not Bruja. Why do you say he's not Bruja? Because he did say in one of the intros, he kind of outed himself. He said, "Hello, I'm Cassius. I'm gaming FTL. Josh, I play Cassius, the Bruja." So the north part of town looks suspiciously empty. They haven't been up that way. They've been too worried about crossing the bridge, so they haven't been into Sunnytown at all. And because of Calig and Talia, they haven't pushed up, that north side of town at all since everything like broke apart and yeah. Kuei Jin should go and stay gone. I mean, yeah, it's like it would make sense if Tess was Kuei Jin or Kuei Jin like, because her dad is Japanese, she's half Japanese, and she did live in Japan for a fair amount of time. So it's a pretty good theory. Um, but she doesn't seem to be, kind of that type. Especially seeing as she has so many Toreador things, like as I said, she seems very Toreador, so it'd be strange if she was something else. Um so yeah, the north part of town is there's, as I said, I've been revealing, and you guys, if you've been watching, you will have seen the map kind of get updated as we go. Like one of the first things we found was the encroaching wilds up in the top left of the map. And then, we got Calig and Talia and Kale, kind of like these larger kind of blocks. And then we got quite a few little small blocks and other like smaller things. Gorban as well, also obviously. And that's really been like what the last few episodes have been about. There's been important scenes and important conversations and all that type of thing, I think, and interactions between the characters and with other NPCs. But it's mostly been like figuring out the lay of the land and how they're going to interact with the different groups and how the different groups are interacting with them. And one of the things I've said to the players is I'm not really going to be throwing, not at the moment, I'm not going to be throwing many encounters at them because everyone is in the same position. Like all of the elder vampires, all of the elder kindred, on the Anarch and on the Camarilla side, they've all kind of burned up and died or run away because they're worried. So the city currently has a token force of a couple of people in the Elysium, like holding down the fort. And I think they're younger. Yeah, they're younger kindred as well. I'm happy saying that. And they kind of represent the Camarilla and all of these other factions. Like, because the Camarilla have left, because the Anarchs have left, they don't have to be associated with them because currently in the situation, the Camarilla, the Anarchs have no interest in like holding power in the city because they can't enforce it. Because they're worried the second they go back, they're gonna burn up. And like, obviously like other younger kindred ran away and there was kind of a fair exodus out of the city. But at the same time, like it's a perfect opportunity for people who are interested in power, for people who are interested in that type of thing. And also, I will let you guys know, like it's not something that's been stated in the show, but basically the Camarilla and the Camarilla and the Anarchs are semi working together to not quarantine the city, but basically just like make sure no one gets out. In the sense of like, because they're not sure what it is. You know, it was very worrying for them to suddenly lose Elder Kindred to like a random ball of flame just from feeding on a human or whatever. So there is going to be a huge ass fucking war between all the factions at some point because someone is going to be stupid. It's highly possible. Like those of you who know my GM style and who know, you know, like what I'm like when I GM and when I run games, like it's very sandboxy. So to give you an example, the Oasis where Lamia was approached by Kale, Talia, and Calig, all of them, and it was mentioned in the episode, all of them wanting to bring her under their, you know, wing and like expand their territory. And I did rolls for all of them to see how the meetings went and how receptive she was, and they all failed horribly. So yeah, like she wasn't particularly interested in joining any of them. She stayed independent, and that's why she's independent on the map with the Oasis. Which, you know, I've done that with a lot of the other factions and all of those type of things. Interestingly, one of the reasons why Gimlet was willing to get put under the coteries wing is because he also got invited by other people, but he was threatened and he was scared. So he was very happy to be like, yeah, sure, I'll come under your wing because I don't want to go under theirs. I do think there needs to be a fight or two. Cass needs to vent, Chrys needs to punch stuff, and one of Mac's personalities likes to break arms. One of his millions of personalities, yes. Yeah, like this is the thing, is I've given them opportunities to fight, but they're playing it very, very intelligently in that it's only ever opportunities to fight. They don't have to force a fight if they don't want to. They can get out of things socially, and a lot of the other kindred in the city at the moment are mostly being careful. Like they could have run up to Calig and Talia, spoken to one of them and gone, we'll help you, and then got into fights there, you know, like fighting against Talia, fighting against Calig, whichever one they wanted, and, you know, formed an alliance or something. But the same as all of the other kindred, like they're being very careful because, you know, like when they met Clay, you don't know what he's capable of, and he puts himself across as very, very dangerous, and to get into a fight with someone who might be very dangerous is a very silly thing. Like, if you want to get in a fight with another kindred, or if you want to get in a fight with another, like, faction, you need to know what they're capable of before you commit yourself. So being kind of passive to a certain extent, and being open to, like, negotiation and conversation is very important at this point. Later on, very probably. And also, like, technically there was a chance for Chrys to get in a fight with those thugs before Aiden dropped down as Optimus Batman. But, you know, she also didn't have to, and she decided, once the hero dropped down, she decided to just step back and watch him get beaten up. What else do we have here? Do the players even have a predator types? It seems a little pointless in this situation. It is currently. They do have predator types, yes. But obviously it's currently not, because they're not hunting, because everyone's worried about how, you know, how the whole blood fire thing works. Everyone's being very cautious. Like the Gimlet place sprung up, the Lamia place sprung up. So yeah, they do have predator types, and it will come up probably in the future, depending on how much they find out on what we like. It, you know, the second that they decide we might be safe or it's worth the risk to just go hunting humans again, then we'll find out about predator types and stuff like that. So how likely is it that they'll attract Second Inquisition attention? With the loss of Winnie, slightly more likely. And that's all I'll say about that. Because I imagine Vandy's gonna, like, shout at the chat, like, wait, what? Tell me, did Sheepy answer my questions about Winnie? She's so curious about Winnie. Like, not even just as Tess, just Vandy. Because, like, she had this picture of Winnie as, like, the nicest vampire father figure, you know, like, very warm. And he was, and he is. But, you know, it's always interesting to have two sides of someone, so. Why are there so many separate orange blocks? So the orange block in the woods is Cassius's area. The orange block in Flintbridge is Winono's haven, which that is actually going to expand to fill up all of that area in between the front and the Old Guard. And then the one in Sunnytown is that's Mac's cinema, which he hasn't been able to get to for quite a while. He could probably make it there, but you know. It's a matter of whether you want to get caught with your pants down wandering through Gorbin's territory and whether anyone else has claimed territory up there. Like the second you go up there and you find out, oh, actually, you know, there are werewolves or there are, you know, there are some crazy gangrel or something who will just kill you on sight, then you're like, oh, I kind of wish I hadn't come here by myself. And the one over on the right of the map is, it looks similar in color. It's actually the oasis where Lamia lives. Mac has only one personality, total awesomeness. I'll go along with that. Means I don't have to answer any questions that might reveal things that I can't reveal. How likely is it that a Daywalker will show up? Technically speaking, and I see Hydra wants to know that as well. Technically speaking, a Daywalker has shown up in the sense of he was in someone's recollections or memory, or you know, that Winnie was looking into. So it sounds like he was a Daywalker. Damn Duskborn ruining our vampirism. Look at Aiden's a fun character. And it's really nice to throw. It's always nice to throw your players through a loop slightly and make them have to act in a different way or have to react in different ways. So I really enjoyed introducing Aiden to the story. Between stressing out Vandy in the car and talking to another Malkavian, I'm not sure which I enjoyed more. I enjoyed the chat with Vandy, but that's because, you know, obviously I'm playing a character in the moment, so I don't have the time to like sit back and appreciate it. I did have a lot of fun being Kale though. Lots of great moments in this campaign. Airsick Hydra, you monster. A Ventrue would be pretty much fucked in this situation. What do you mean, Soup Barrel? There are quite a few Ventrue in charge of different places. Well, there are, you know, Ventrue do tend to do that. A Ventrue would have to probably go to a tester or have their own tester, which I think people are starting to figure out. We found out a bit about predator types. Tess did reveal hers, yeah. Although we didn't go into like mechanics or anything, it was all RP'd out. And I think also, what's an enforcer? You'll need to expand the question there, Hydra. I thought he was a good bean. He is a good bean. Winona was a very, very nice guy. Party needs to take lessons from Paradox games and explore the map. They can find the enemies of their enemies. A good elder. Nice joke. I mean, you know, Winona was a good elder. I think he was. He is. Is he still alive? Winona, I can tell you for a fact Winona is not still alive. Has Celine's clan been revealed? Our guess is welcome. Guesses are totally welcome. Her clan has not been revealed, although I do believe the players know. I don't think the characters know. Oh, and Kid Saturday must be dead as fuck. Is he though? I mean, you guys just like you'd think they'd have run into him by now, right? But you guys did just say they haven't gone to that north side of the map, have they? So, you know, there's a lot of places Saturday could be hiding, or you know, all of those type of things. Definitely something to think about. So yeah, some of let's go through a few of the more recent big events. Going to hang out with, going to meet Gravestone was a big one. Finding out that Gravestone is a spirit of some kind. He appears to be a very, very old spirit who like the way he put it was he marks death, and that's the way his story put it as well. So I'm very interested in what people think about that, because that's it's not completely out of, but it's slightly separated from like regular World of Darkness lore. I kind of took a bit of my own inspiration, I guess, and I hope everyone enjoys Gravestone, because you know that was one of the riskier things for people who enjoy Vampire the Masquerade. They'll be like, "What the hell is this weird wolf dog spirit thing? It's weird," but yeah. Since she looks like a porcelain doll, I'm gonna guess she might become some kind of weird gargoyle. Could be. Gargoyles were a thing, or are a thing. Nah, probably dead. I see, Cry, you're trying to get information out of me by being like, nah, Saturday's dead. I kind of already gave a clue as to where Saturday might be. Are you on about the big doggo? Gravestone, yes, big doggo. Wanted to ask if Gravestone was some sort of fae. No, Gravestone is, you know, what he says he is. He is basically a ancient spirit from back in the days of BC who marked death he used to mark death in kind of like a large section of the UK. And yeah, you know, he's very, very, very old and very, very specifically knowledgeable, and he was kind of a god to like the Celts, you know, like the different tribes in the UK, like way back when it was the Woads and all those type of clans and everything. And there were druids and sacrifices done in his name and all that type of stuff. I hope that answers what you want to know about Gravestone 20. So did Gravestone enjoy cheeseburgers? I don't think Gravestone actually... Did he just... I think he just pulled the burger out and offered it, and then when no one wanted it, he just dropped it, which is why Tess lost the burger. I don't think he actually ate it. I wonder if any of the Tremere survived. Is that a question? And why Vandy lost her damn mind. Hey, look, you know, just don't... Emergency burger wasted, but you can get more burgers. You've got a whole load now, which I think you're storing and probably not taking with you next time you go to see Gravestone. So yeah, does anyone? Because there's a fair amount on the Gravestone kind of arc of things. Gravestone. When Cassius brought everyone to meet Gravestone, Gravestone was like, "Oh, a sacrifice." Everyone panicked, and Gravestone inhabited Tess and basically talked to them as Tess, while he was also talking to Tess, like inside her mind, inside her body. I guess the question is, did the Tremere survive? I can tell you that there is at least one Tremere in the city, and not all of the Tremere are dead. I can't really take it past that. All the burgers for Mac is the bringer of food and the monies. That was hilarious. Where he just got $5,000 off Kale to organise all this kind of thing. That's so funny. It did indeed. Sorry, just saw the stream and jumped in. Don't know how much was answered already in general. That had not been answered, 20. So that was a very good question. Thank you. Definitely a duffel bag of burgers somewhere. Yeah, it's like a bug out bag, except for it's just burgers. It's for in case, you know, Tess needs to run off somewhere. Would make sense if Kaiba would be the Tremere. He's definitely a gangrel though, so he can't be a Tremere. Are Gravestone accepting burgers as sacrifices, or will that offend him? I think it's fairly obvious that nothing kind of like outside of his scope of vision really offends him. You know, like, so someone could turn up and be like, wow, you know, you're fat, and he'll be like, I don't, what? You know, it doesn't offend him, even if it is true, because it's not something that like permeates his worries or his thoughts. You know, it doesn't fit his thought patterns. You know, maybe if someone went up and went like, you know, you were always a bad god and all of your followers hated you, that might give something. But the equivalent would be, you know, like when there's a mosquito like flying around near you. Like, that's kind of how Gravestone sees just kindred and humans and all of these, you know, all of the animals and things like that. Like, he's so old that, you know, even the eldest of the vampires in the city would have seemed pretty young to him. So like he probably have the same attitude to almost any kindred who came to see him, where he's just like, I could tell you my story and like all the details of my existence and, you know, back over thousands of years, but there's not really much point because you won't be live enough long enough to appreciate it. So whatever. And yeah, the interesting thing that some people got pulled up on was sacrifice doesn't necessarily mean, you know, like blood and death and I give this to you, my lord. Like, sacrifice just means an offering. Isn't there a weird gangrel Tremere bloodline? Possibly. I can tell you for a fact that if there is, I don't know about it, and I haven't planned that with Kaiba or anyone, so. Talivian Tremere or something, Mongolian Tremere stuff. That's kind of interesting, but yeah, not my plan. I'll admit, I'm pretty excited to explore more of the occult side. Yeah. We'll probably get into a lot more occulty stuff as time goes on, just purely because I think we all know Cassius is interested in it. Gravestone is right there to talk about, and, you know, he might even know some things. And then, like, obviously Tess's interest is piqued just through knowing there's something like special about her, and the mystery. Like, she seems to be like a big one for mysteries, Tess. So I don't think I trust you with the cult stuff. She does have to learn. That's true. Aside from having a mage, how much crossover stuff from other stories, like, you know, like werewolf and what are the other ones called? Sin Eaters and Changeling and Mage, obviously. So Wraith. It's true, Wraith. A bit. Honestly, I won't take anything. There may be like allusions to things, but it'll all have that sheepy spin, whereby I try to stick to the lore I always try to stick to the feeling of the lore, to like the. So, you know, so anything in my shows tries to feel like it makes sense in Vampire or in Warhammer 40k. It doesn't necessarily take directly from the lore, like Gravestone. But yeah, like the mage, for example, was a way for us to have a barrier, or like, I think you guys have figured out there's something weird about Cassius's haven, and that was a way that have to have a mage, and that ties into Gravestone, and there's a possibility that Cassius will look into that at some point. Wolf is on another level. He deserves good cult. Hope Cass will succeed on that. Me too. I think it'd be really interesting. Have you planned any Fae? I can tell you for a fact right now, I haven't planned any Fae. I've considered things. Will Cass get a Lammy suit if he works for her. Lamia. So it's an A, not an E. But a Lamia suit, she would probably have a uniform for him if he goes and works for her. Sin Eaters is not World of Darkness? Okay, I didn't know that. Or New World of Darkness, maybe. I don't know. Is it bad that I can't remember what city this is? It is, Weirgate. W-E-I-R Gate. New World of Darkness, okay. I do remember, Henley, someone who, used to run, RP shows, on his Twitch channel, and I was in quite a few of his shows like a couple of years back. He ran a Sin Eaters, and I was always interested in it because it sounded kind of cool, but I never looked into it. So like I never really seen much of Sin Eaters. I just like the idea, and also because of the film Sin Eater, which I actually really enjoy for some reason, even though it's not that good a film. Yeah, sure. It's kind of like Weirgate, except for without the D. And there's no, allegory and there's nothing to read into from it being very similar to Weirgate. Damn, I hope we see some changelings in campaign. They can be as hilarious as horrible. I mean, it's a possibility. I'm at the same time that I think a lot of the campaign is very different from the regular Vampire the Masquerade. Like I'm doing the sandbox kind of feel to it. I'm going into the territories and we're going to be going into politics and occult and like it's a lot more free. Like the coterie are able to decide what they want to do for themselves and make like horrible mistakes, and it doesn't necessarily have like a horrific backlash. You're not going to get some like 500-year-old vampire just stomping down on them and being like bad, because there aren't any in the city anymore, probably. However, at the same time, like I will tell you that the campaign is mostly Kindred. There are a few like things like gravestone and the mage. There are a few things like that like dotted around, but it very much depends whether they stumble upon them, whether they investigate certain things or look into certain things in certain areas. So some of the stuff, like as I said, I've prepared like 170 NPCs. Some of that stuff very may well just never get seen. It's how sandboxes go, unfortunately. But I always save those things, and I can bring them back in other shows and in other stories, or adjust them. It means like even if you do the work, you can always reuse it, and you can always if something doesn't come out, you can come back to it in a different story. Assumed it's called Weirgate because of the river. Yes. I like your thinking, damned man, because my thinking was exactly the same. It was on a river. It was very clearly gonna have like a weir and all that type of thing. And I was like, I'll call it Weirgate because everyone's gonna assume that it's because it's weird. It's got that kind of weird, witchy kind of feel to it. The name, like maybe even like souls and the idea of gates and like hell and that type of thing. But yeah, it's literally just because it's on a river. Assumptions, bad. Grilling sheepy for weird information, good. Yeah. How long did it take you to plan all of this? So I talked to everyone a couple of months, and I got everyone on board, like Vandy, Josh, Tash, and Hydra, a couple of months before the show premiered, before the first episode. And then I spent the next couple of months like figuring out the first couple of weeks at least was just a whole load of ideas in an idea notebook. And then I started doing things like making the city, figuring out like, how things were going to break apart, how things were going to go. Just kind of guidelines, because again, with the sandbox, you never know how the start of the start of the plan will translate into a show. So, will we get a Conan short episode? We will indeed. It is on the plan to get a Conan short episode. And then we go into things like making characters, making making the backstory for the player characters and the player characters. And then of course they get NPCs, and those NPCs need backstory of their own. They need character traits. They need places to live, or places to operate, or places they can be found. And then you go into the factions. You start making the different factions. You start with like a figurehead, whoever, like Calig or Talia. You give them a few descriptors, you give them a few personality traits and a few basic goals, and then you form the faction around them. You start creating their underlings, you start creating people attached to them, and suddenly you have 170 NPCs, and growing, and yeah. So, it took me a couple of months, all told. And obviously it wasn't like breakneck speed working, but there was a lot of like writing a whole load of things out, then deleting half of it and changing it to fit in with like the characters. So like originally, to give you a good example, Lamia was not a Toreador. I believe she was a Ventru originally, and then after like the second episode, I changed her to being a Toreador, because I realized just how good a fit she would be to like engage, push, and pull with Tess's character. And I thought having like someone that Tess can connect with, in terms of clan and as a kindred, it would be very important for Tess. Just to have like a mix of romantic, friendly, unfriendly, antagonistic, all of these things like all combined into a really complicated relationship. Okay, never mind. Televelic, Tremere, Eastern European, allied with Mongolian gangrel. Okay. Man, world lore is complex. Yeah, and this is part of the reason why I'm doing this Q&A. It's because I did the wrap up of the episodes before, and I may still do that because that is like very scripted, and if someone wants to catch up, that's a good way to do it. But I saw a lot of people being a little bit confused about certain aspects of episodes and like who was who. So I'm perfectly happy to sit here for a while and just, fill you guys in, like catch you up on anything you may have missed or you're unsure about. Like Gravestone living in the woods isn't weird enough for this town. Yeah, I mean, he's like, as you can tell, he's not exactly easy to find. And Cassius has his mage friend to thank for the whole Gravestone situation, where he basically cut some corners, making the ward around Cassius's home, and made a deal with Gravestone to basically be like, you protect this home, and I'll say I did it. Thanks. Okay, because I would eventually like to run a vampire campaign, and just never knew how to go about it. If it isn't a secret, what faction is the most successful at the moment? Depends what you classify as successful, and I do like that question. I would say probably Talia, in terms of like in terms of like strength and money and influence over humans. Talia's probably doing the best. In terms of like other unseen or unknown things, there's a couple of unknown factions that are doing very well, which the players haven't met yet, but have one or two of the factions they have skirted a couple of times and come so close to meeting or being mentioned about. Who is best in achieving their goals? Currently, I'd say probably the Old Guard. Probably the Old Guard and the Encroaching Wilds, because the Encroaching Wilds don't really have goals, aside from protect our territory and maybe push out a bit, but they can't agree on that, so... Can you edit the map on screen? I can't, no. This isn't a Photoshop. You know, obviously I do this in Photoshop and then I update it as I can. So like what I'll do is after this recording and this stream, I'll probably go in and edit out those like edit out the little orange square, and I'll put a new bigger square in to represent the coterie. HEB, what I know about Celine and Kaiba, what is known about Celine and Kaiba other than being awesome? So the likelihood is they're both gangrels. Can you put a copy of the map in the Discord? Yes, I will update the map and put it in the Discord. Incidentally, for those of you on YouTube and Discord and Discord, on YouTube and Twitch, if you want to go to the Discord, I do also like put certain things up in the Discord. We have a dedicated Sunkissed channel as well, so both gangrel my ass. What, you don't think Celine's a gangrel? You don't think Kaiba's a gangrel? I don't know why my camera has started just like going out of focus so easily. Thank you, Shibi. No problem. So we'll talk about Celine and Kaiba in a moment, Alex. But I do also have, what are the Old Guard? Because I have a real shit memory. The Old Guard are the vampire / Kindred who they met right at the end of last episode, who were like, they're very polite. They're like, we represent the Camarilla. We're trying to uphold their traditions and values and that type of thing. So in that sense, they've done very well. Because no one's broken the masquerade. No one's really jumping out and fucking things up at the moment, so the Old Guard are less known because they're off in the corner, but yeah, they're doing well with what they want to do, basically. I feel the stress of creating NPCs, running games for my players, and it's a pain to keep and update the list of NPCs, especially kind that they meet. I generally don't worry too much about random kind, random humans. But I feel like it's worth having a pool of them. Just just now and then you can introduce them, because the important thing about Vampire the Masquerade. Sorry, we will talk about Celine and Kaiba momentarily. The important thing to remember about Vampire the Masquerade is it's the kindred side of life and the human side of life. And if you only focus on the kindred side of life, you're not doing the justice you need to Vampire the Masquerade. You have to play into the human side of things. So, Tess's mum, the girl that my brain. The girl in the hospital that Mac went to go and visit, Aiden and Chrys, and their interactions, and Cassius and the woman in the bookstore, and all that type of thing. So yeah. But yes, I had so much, as much as I'm like, Jesus, I have 170 NPCs, I built all of these factions, blah blah blah. I had so much fun doing it as well. Like building something like that for your players, especially when your players respond in such an enthusiastic and happy way, where they're just loving the NPCs they meet and the setting and everything. It makes it so worth it. I think it's a Tremere and a gargoyle bodyguard who taught him Protean. Interesting. That's actually that's a very interesting thought, since the weird gargoyle discipline doesn't exist right now. Could be. If you phrase it as a question, I will answer you. But yeah. Are there drunk Tremere in Sunkissed though? Blair. Hashtag Blair. There is a drunk Tremere in Sun. I promised there would be one, and there is a drunk Tremere in Sunkissed. So the Old Guard are like the police. The Old Guard are a little more like a militia. Like they don't have any official backing. They're just looking to uphold the Camarilla because the Camarilla's gone, and they worry about like losing the tenets and the convictions and you know all of those, like the masquerade and all of that type of thing. What woman in what bookstore, Sheepy? I'm never gonna get to Celine and Kaiba, but okay. In Woman in the Bookstore is the book hole that Cassius went to in the maze. There was a woman in there who he spoke to. Something I had that I haven't picked up, or wait, did he do that on episode 3? Ah, shit, did he do that on episode 3? He might have done that on episode, okay. Something that I haven't picked up on is how precisely do you turn someone into a vampire. I haven't really touched on that because I'm not 100% sure in Vampire the Masquerade myself. I'm pretty sure you feed off them, you feed them your blood, and then you drain them till they're almost dead. I think that's how you do it. Or like you drain them till they're almost dead, and then you feed them your blood. I think that's how it works. So Celine and Kaiba, Sheepy. Yes, Celine and Kaiba. So, what was the question about Celine and Kaiba? Let me just scroll up very quickly and see if I can... What is known about Celine and Kaiba other than being awesome? So, what's known about Celine and Kaiba is they lived in London a while ago. They worked with Winona, Cassius's sire, while they were in London or during that type of time, and they did something with him regarding like keeping things secret from the kind, from humans, or possibly stuff to do. They made allusions to him keeping the Second Inquisition out of Weirgate. So that's the majority actually of what you know about Celine and Kaiba, just their connection to Winona and the fact that that they worked with him at some point and they have quite a lot of respect for him. And most of what you know about Celine and Kaiba is that they've revealed a few little tidbits about Winona. Drain them dead and feed 1 rouse check of blood. Yeah, so you drain them completely until dead, and then you feed them your blood, and that's how you turn them. I wasn't sure if it was like you drain them until they're almost dead or whatever, but that does make sense. So like, I guess they're in the last moments of life as they've like lost all their blood, and yeah, that turns them. Okay. Lore ways you embrace by draining a kind and feeding them a bit of vitae. There are also some weird blood magic rituals as well, like how the Tremere first came about. Yeah, wasn't the Tremere was like some sorcerers or mages or something, wasn't it? I can't 100% remember, but that's like deep lore that we really don't need to worry about. Nice place. You can actually embrace fresh corpses. Oof. Again, that sounds like the deeper lore stuff. So yeah, aside from that, Celine and Kaiba, Celine is very strong and she can take a hit as well. She was actually expecting to destroy that wall that she punched, and she had no fear of getting hit just in general. So, like getting punched. Obviously, if someone took like a sword or something, she'd probably dodge that, I would imagine. Maybe. But yeah, so Celine is the talker, Celine, and she's not much of a talker at that. One impression you guys all got, or would have got, is that neither of them are particularly charismatic or friendly. And they don't really do like, you know, diplomacy and all that type of thing. The Tremere was mages who were trying to achieve immortality after their life-extending potions stopped working. Yeah, there you go. Which member of the coterie do you think would be a sire? Do you mean like which member of the coterie do I think would be the first to turn someone, or like which one do I think would be the best sire? Like, which do I think would be the first to turn someone? Probably Cassius, I would say, because I can see the appeal that Cassius would have. It would depend on situation. I think as long as nothing as long as nothing really dramatic happens, it would probably be Cassius, because he'd see the benefit of having a child, a kindred, and also he'd probably want to carry on Winono's line, because as far as he knows, he's the only child of Winono. So he it's probably not something he's thought about. It's probably something Josh has considered at the very least. But yeah, he'll probably want to turn someone to carry on the line of Winono, because it's actually kind of a like an impressive bloodline. But aside from just everything being normal, nothing too big, like any of them could end up turning someone if the people they care about is threatened, or like I could totally see Tess or Chrys turning a random human who was dying, for example. I could totally see either of them being like, oh god, this person's dying, I need to save them, turn them, suddenly they have a child. And they're like, it's like teenage mums. That would be really interesting. Out of clan disciplines are possible, as with Cassius in this very show. They are. They are. It depends, like one of the things I can tell you guys is like, and you may have noticed it. I am allowing the players, like, because the show is very slow in terms of time. We're on like episode 8, and it hasn't even been a couple of weeks. Like, we're getting through sometimes a day-ish, an episode. And one of the things I'm doing is I'm allowing the players, if they RP their learning, to get like, or if they find someone to teach them, etc., and they like RP out themselves learning these abilities, like Cassius's Quell the Beast, or whatever it's called, the one where he calmed down that dude, and he did it to the dogs as well. They get a little like discount on buying the powers and skills and abilities. They can't get it for like strength or dexterity, because that's different. Like they could train for that maybe, but yeah. Uh, Optimus Batman could be a vampire. Do you mean in the sense that he could already be a vampire, or he could be turned by Chrys? Are their generations secret? No. Cassius is the oldest. He's about 10 years. He was turned about 10 years ago to current day. And then Mac is about a year old. Tess is about 6 months old. And Chrys is about 4 months old. 3 or 4 months old. So they're all in the same generation. By the way, Cyril guy, I'm just guessing because his name sounds Eastern European and I'm also from the region, that he's, well, also from this part of the world and wanted to ask about this. Yeah, so I hope my players aren't listening too in detail currently. But I can give you guys a little bit of information about this. So we'll go to I'll mute. It's not super important if you guys know about this or not. It's not like a massive secret. You guys are totally welcome to hear about this. So yeah, you got Cyril, Siamara, Zaza, Ruben. I think was all of the old guards that you guys met, and they are they're not from the UK. They are more recently in the area. And they are from like Eastern Europe into Arabic countries, Middle Eastern countries, and into Russia and stuff like that as well. But I just, it's those names I knew were gonna make all of the players go, oh, ding, 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 like Russian maybe, Eastern European. Every time we get anyone who sounds Italian or Russian or even Eastern European, the players all panic, which is hilarious. So they can come back in now. I'll wave if they're watching. Yeah. I hope that answers the question about they are all 12th generation, I think, yes. More Conan in the story. Interestingly, Cry, we're going to have a Conan short story, which is, and I'll talk about this momentarily. Let me just. Will Tess and her mum have a short episode? They will. They will indeed. And 20. I hope that answers your question about Cyril and those guys in general. Uh, I could see Chrys finding him dying and turning him to save him. Yeah, Chrys could totally. I could also see Chrys finding Aiden and being like, ah, crap, he's dying. No, turn him. Uh. So yeah, one of the things that was asked is a couple of people asking about, well, like, what's going to be in the shorter stories and the, like, snapshots. So we're going to be recording them soon, and then on this show, the like Q&A Wednesday show, like this week it had this week it had the intro, loading type thing. Next week, when it gets to the top of the hour, kind of 7 p.m. UK time, we'll have an intro video that will be all of the single shot episode stuff. Recording, say for example, Conan and Cassius wandering in the woods, and Cassius will, whatever Cassius is going to do, he does, and we kind of play that out as me GMing and Josh playing Cassius, and then that will be one of the bits at the beginning of this show, which will also go onto YouTube, and then and then it will snapshot to Tess working with her mum in the garage, and then it will snapshot to Chrys having that meeting with Aiden, Optimus Batman, and then Mac maybe going to talk to Kale again, or trying to get to his cinema. And every week we'll probably try and do this. It won't be always all the time perfect, obviously, and it may just be like some characters, and it's just intended to be a little like buffer RP for scenes that the players want to do, but don't always find the time to do during a 3-hour show. Because as you guys have noticed, like, there's a lot of RP, there's a lot of like information and things to do just as the characters themselves. And we had a chat, and we were all kind of like, there's a lot of things you guys want to do. Conan needs to be hung out with and petted, and Tess needs to go and do that job with her mum. It can be hard to just ask for that scene, because there's so much going on and there's so much they need to do as a group, that we all figured, like, it'd be best to have, like 20 to 30 minute snapshots of scenes where they can individually RP and just do the extra stuff they need to do. Conan as a symbol of gravestone in future cult. Do we have character art of Conan? I don't believe we have character art of Conan. Also, interesting, someone else mentioned Saturday earlier, and I will give you a similar answer, in that if you look at the map, you can see a few blank areas. It's very possible that Saturday is just in a place that the players and the characters haven't looked. Saturday's still in the city, and not as dead as most people think he is, apparently, because everyone was saying Saturday's clearly dead. Okay. do we have any more questions or thoughts? So we've talked about Gravestone, we've talked about Celine and Kaiba. Does anyone have any thoughts? Has Saturday changed to Sunday yet? No, not yet. Soon. Saturday is still obfuscated in the room. I did consider that possibility. I was like, it would be funny that they just assumed that Saturday had left, but he's just obfuscated there the entire time because no one's checked. Does Tess's mum know Lamia? No. Just to clarify for myself, because mostly listen to streams while doing other stuff and miss things, that's part of the reason the Q&A's here. Strange dogs that followed their car were Gangrel. Yes, they were Gangrel. That was the encroaching wilds you see in the top left. I think it's over here in the top left of the map. The kind of green one that goes behind the names. That's the encroaching wilds. They were anarchs, and they are at least a couple of them are Gangrel, to the knowledge of the players and also you all as viewers. I know more because I always know more. And it's very difficult to remember what you guys know and what I know, and the difference between those. But yeah, no, they're Gangrel. A lot of people thought they were going to be werewolves, but no, they're just Gangrel anarchs who they like. The way I've described the encroaching wilds before is they are the strongest faction that is the least amount of threat because they can't agree with each other, and they're basically a democracy of everyone shouts at each other and nothing ever gets done. So like they'd be a really big threat if anyone was in charge, but no one's in charge. So they just get together and argue about all the things they should do and then just keep protecting that area of the city, like their territory. Will Kale and Mac get a night out? Short episode. I don't know, you'd have to ask Hydra that. Hydra, there's a question for you, mate. Oh, thanks. And second question, what was the deal with that fireball that burned a guy? Mage guy? You may need to be more specific, 20. Which fireball that burned a mage guy? It's just speculation, but from Sheepy's answers, I feel like Saturday is in Mac's cinema because Mac's Sheet and Brat feel previous Malkavian energy, more like everyone howls at each other. Yeah, again, like it is possible that Saturday could have gone to Mac's cinema because Mac hasn't been back there. So yeah, that is a very intense possibility. I won't say any more than that because I don't want to give it away either way. But I like that. I like that thought. In terms of the fireball, are you talking about after Winnie? They went out and there was a guy that like ran out into the street on fire. 20. Is that the one you're referring to? Yeah. So that was, and this is the core story for Sunkissed, and it's why the show is called Sunkissed, is all of the elder vampires caught on fire at around about the same time, the same night, from feeding on humans. And I wanted to try and get that across without like forcing the players or forcing the viewers to like random kindred all across the thing. So that vampire coming out, he had just fed on a human, and the same as what happened to Winona, he also got caught on fire. Sheepy, will you have guests to RP in the short episodes? I could. I have considered that. It would be interesting. I'm not sure about it. Because, like, I don't know if anyone else was thinking about this, but I was like, you know who'd be a really good Lamia? Meta. I was like, I should get Meta in to do a short episode playing Lamia. But, yeah. Sheep, have there been more burnings since that one night, or was it just this one night? As far as anyone can tell, it was just that one night. Which is, you know, strange, right? Guest stars would be epic. Meta would be awesome. I guess I'll put this out to you guys as a stream and as viewers, and also to the YouTube, to people who watch this on the YouTube. Would you guys all be interested in having guests in for short episodes as well, maybe? Just, you know, like that type of thing. EE, Fuzzy, yeah. It would be cool to get Dylan or Delphron as well, like people from the old Vampire. I'd actually enjoy that. Get Peachy in with me. I mean, would you enjoy, Vandy, having a short episode with Tess and Lamia where Lamia is played by Meta? Because that could be interesting. And I just wouldn't be in the, I'd just be there and you guys just chat for a while. That'd be fun. Absolutely. Yes, have guests. Peachy would be a nightmare. Peachy's really good. I think I'd need to spend a bit of time with him to explain the setting because I don't think he knows Vampire. But 3 of the players, and like actually, I wanna say this. I should say this at the beginning of an episode, maybe. 3 of the players had no previous knowledge or experience with Vampire the Masquerade, which I think says so much about how good they all are. I feel like Fuzzy playing and... Oh, we got a few more. Yes, absolutely. Have guests. Okay. Can Peachy play Kale? That'd be interesting. Peachy is good. Yesterday was a nightmare. Yesterday was interesting. We won't go into that here. Yeah, the cast is amazing. Like Vandy, Hydra, and Tash all had no previous experience or knowledge of Vampire the Masquerade. So the ease with which they've adjusted to it and to their characters and to the setting and to the lore and everything speaks volumes about how great they all fucking are. I want to put that out there. Peachy as Aiden would be so funny. That could be interesting. Yeah. I'd be so down to just aggressively flirt with Meta for an hour. You know, I love how Vandy so wants to do this that she's extended it from like 20 to 30 minutes to like just an hour. Just a fucking hour. Let's just do this for an hour. Side question, what did you use to make the map? Photoshop. So yeah, I have this, I have a site, which I will try to pull up for you guys now. I'm not sure where it is 100% off the top of my head. But there's like a really useful map maker that I found, that's free. And, I used it to, that's my random things. It's here somewhere. I'll put it in the Discord. But yeah, there's a random map maker, and I just kept generating a map and adjusting it until I had what I liked, and then I downloaded the image. It does city maps and it does like country maps as well. So I just did that, and then I adjusted all of it myself. I like named the areas and all of the like, you know. So it's not a perfect representation of the city, but I feel like it's good in between, like, you know, in between imagination and 100% realism. I think it's a good in between to give you all like a feel for where everything is and what's happening. You know, ultimately, I'm not going to be like, this is, you know, exactly 550 meters away from this place. That's how long it takes you to get there. And, you know, we go a bit more abstract when we go into like distances and stuff. But yeah, that's the basic idea. Couldn't stay to the, oh, that's about chaos. We'll talk about that after. So if you, how can I access the Discord? I believe, oh, it's already gone in. Yeah, so as I said, I'll put that in the Discord. the map maker, and you guys can check it out for yourselves. You basically just generate a random map. You know, you can include certain things and exclude certain things to kind of customize it slightly, and then you can just download the image. And then I just took it to Photoshop, changed a few things, like, and obviously I did the territories and all that kind of thing myself in Photoshop. So yeah, we were talking about gravestone and etc. I don't want this to go on for too long, so let's say 30. Let's say 10 more minutes, guys, and we'll for the video, we'll talk about this for like 10 more minutes because we've already done like an hour and a bit. Is there anything else? Any questions? I'll take you through. So we've talked about gravestone. For the most part, if no one has questions about like the dreams or the or gravestone like possessing Tess or any of like the insinuations there. Sheepy, are there factions from outside of Weirgate that will have an impact on the coterie? Yeah, so there's the Camarilla and the Anarchs, and slowly they'll start to like try and have influence and seep their way back in. So yeah, and there are a few other factions like outside as well. Obviously, for example, Tess's sire, Michael, is a faction, and he's outside, and he'll obviously at some point, or maybe already, has got involved. Anything about Kafka or Cass's forgetfulness, like people forgetting about Cassius, Aiden, the prison with Rags. I'm just mentioning things that you guys might have questions about before we wrap this up. Max Sire, Hamilton Gibbs, the guy he talked to in the ghost that he talked to. I really want to know what the other option was, but I think you won't tell. I won't tell. Like, that is one of the cores of Tess's whole mystery and backstory and all of the things that's going on with Tess. The stuff with Tess's mum in the garage. The whole Gimlet thing. Is everyone happy with everything on the Gimlet stuff? We talked about Celine and Kaiba. It's social distancing the game after Cams and Anarchs have left Weirgate. Yeah, a little bit. Anything about... There's not too much to tell you about Chrys's sire. Oh yeah, Sheepy. Where is Weirgate in England? West, up, down. So it's just it's obviously fictional, but it in my vision it's just a little bit outside of London, probably to the north west of London. Just off the top of my head. I was wondering if Chrys should be numb because of the drugs. Or drugs. I will totally answer that question when I assume Cass is erased from memories because of his mage friend magic backfired in some way and targeted him. Could be. It's a very good theory. There was the whole Tess backstory with her dad and possibly the Yakuza, although she did deny it, but it did kind of seem like yeah. So yeah, kind of, as I said, Weirgate, probably like northwest of London. Just like very slightly outside, kind of a satellite city to London. If it is so close to the capital, southeast would be on the players. Oh, you mean SI, Second Inquisition, not SE? Does Cass intend to remain forgotten? I doubt it. That would be a question for Josh and Cassius themselves. But yeah, I doubt it. The sedatives used by Giblets. Did he use sedatives? I think Winnie did something so the Nos would forget Cass. Also a possibility. Yeah. I like how it's turned from, hey, do you guys have questions, to you guys just shout it, like, not shouting, but you guys like throwing your like theories about all the shit that I know, and I've got to be like, oh, that's your theory. Interesting. Instead of being like either like haha or SI misspelled. Yeah, yeah. But there has been mention of the reason why the Second Inquisition haven't really come to Weirgate, or maybe they are there. But yeah, there's a few things there that. Has Tess told anyone aside from Kotri and Winnie, about her dreaming? I don't think she told Winnie about her dreaming. No, yeah, I think she did a little bit. I think she mentioned it. She mentioned it to Gravestone. She did mention it to Gravestone, but again, that's kind of outside of his area of expertise. He doesn't know that much about, human vampire stuff. He doesn't dream. So he just give you more theories. Yep, you just throw in theory. I'm happy for you guys to throw theories at me. I'll do my best to keep a straight face or to lead you in the wrong direction so you can enjoy reveals. It's always fun. I get the feeling the Second Inquisition are already there. They haven't been mentioned, really. Like, well, they've been mentioned, and London's been mentioned, and it's been mentioned that Winona had something to do with them, or like keeping them out, and I do believe Celine and Kaiba said that they came here because there wasn't any Second Inquisition here, and that's why they settled down here. But yeah, and now that reason is burned out. Sad noise. Have we also given you ideas? I mean, like this. I always keep myself open to changing things. So like for example, I did change Lamia from a Toreador from a Ventru to a Toreador because I felt it fit better. For the most part, I try not to change things that are likely to be revealed anytime soon. It just feels a little cheaty. And nothing like big or anything. So like, for example, if I've set up this whole situation and there are no Second Inquisition in the city, I'm not likely to just go, I should add in a few Second Inquisition, just like dot them about, or have that kind of ready. If I want the Second Inquisition to turn up, then they will like start coming into the city at some point. But or if they're already there, I won't randomly take them out. And, like, if you guys are correct with one of your theories where you're like, if you guys are like, oh, of course, Saturday has to be at the cinema, that makes the most sense. If I've put Saturday in the cinema, he won't, like, move somewhere else just so you guys are wrong. I'm not going to change stuff like that. Sheepy, who is the next character to die? Tess. I find Tess dreaming and sharing about this with other kindred could get her in danger, just because dreaming for a kindred is something extraordinary. I agree. Are there non-kindred factions? Wow, good question. Yeah, there are. Actually, to be fair, I said I'd answer as honestly as I can for all of these, like, whether you guys believe me or not. So the next character to die, I don't know. It's a toss-up between a few of them. And it's none of the players. Unless they do something. Okay, last call for questions. If anyone has any more questions, otherwise we'll leave it till next week, where we should also have at least 4 short episodes, one for each of the players. I think since Daywalker has been mentioned so much, it can be some elaborate Thin Blood scheme, which is impossible because Thin Blood's so disorganized, and also very intriguing because it seems impossible. Well, I mean, there has been no mention of Thin Bloods in Weirgate so far. Well, no, that's not true. There's been a few mentions of, like, some purges of Thin Bloods and that type of thing. But we haven't met any Thin Blood characters, and none of them have, like, popped up or anything. There were I think, Yeah, it's just the one that they saw in the day, who they saw feeding. That was it. Probably Aiden when Chrys punches him through the chest. Yeah, that's a very big possibility. You would kill the dog, would you, Sheepy? Wouldn't? Would I do that? Would I kill a character that you guys like? That would be weird. What about the Spanish Inquisition? Oh, but... You know, it's probably around somewhere. Tess has the eat food merit. Tess does indeed have the eat food merit. But also, me and Vandy thought it would be really interesting for her character, like a Toreador and all that type of thing, and she can just eat food. We thought it would be really, really cool and interesting, so yeah. Nobody expects Spanish Inquisition. They totally didn't, because everyone just was set on fire. Can't wait for the inevitable messy crit in the fight with Aiden. That is going to be interesting. You may have noticed I haven't pulled on like too many messy crits or anything. Most of the time they haven't been at the right point, and I haven't felt like emotions have been high enough or people have been stressed enough to really go off the handle. I think that's coming. Okay, because we got a couple more questions. Any more final things that people would really like to know about the show, about the characters, about my stories and the thing, you know, all of the side stories and side characters and all that type of thing. Before we call this an episode. Incidentally, I hope you all really enjoy the music. I've been trying to be semi-dynamic with the music, and you know, like the background kind of music that's playing and all that kind of thing. I think it's been fun. Nope. Okay, looks like we're good for this week and for this episode. More likely, the next set of Q&As will actually be like talking about the previous episode, but I'm sure people will have questions for previous stuff as well. And what I'll do is I'll see how this goes, and how much I've answered for people. And we may not need like the refresher episodes, and we can just have this Q&A, and it'll help you like keep up with anything you might have missed. If you have to go to the toilet and you missed a bit and you haven't seen it again, or you just don't have the time to watch all of the episode all the time, kind of thing. How long do you want to make this series? Indefinite. I have no end. Like, I have no set end, so we'll just see how things go. I have ways to close off the stories after a while. So if all of the players suddenly get busy and we can't carry on with Sunkist, we can wrap it up nicely, and a lot of the things can be answered. The things you guys will really want to know. So don't panic that it's just suddenly gonna close off and be like, that's the end, we never find out anything. So yeah. Over just quickly to people on YouTube, I hope you enjoyed this. I hope this helped you. Chuck stuff down in the comments to let me know. And if you have any questions for next week, please feel free to put them in my Discord, in the Sunkist, or put them in the comments for the video. I'm perfectly happy to answer a whole load of questions next week as well. Look forward to the solo recordings. They'll be quite short, and they'll just be like a snapshot of RP for each character. We might do extra things with them, with guests and stuff, so remember to let me know in wherever, Discord, etc., if you'd like to see them. And yeah, thanks a lot. I really hope you've been enjoying the series as much as I have. More to come. It's going to get very interesting. And yeah, I'll see you, hopefully, on Monday.